Today's math test is over partitioning shapes, so we're going to be dividing shapes into equal parts. Up at the top, please write your name and look on the board and write the date for today. Remember, you can pause this video as you're writing your answers if you need more time, or you can rewind and re-watch part of the video if you need to hear the directions again. So let's get started. Number 1. Partition each shape into halves. Remember, partition is the first grade word for divide, so you're going to draw some lines to divide these shapes. So for the circle and the rectangle, you're going to draw lines to make those shapes into halves. Go ahead and do that for the circle and the rectangle, making them into halves. Now we're going to jump over to number 2. Number 2 says, partition each shape into fourths. Again, we're partitioning, which is the first grade word for dividing. So we're drawing lines to divide these shapes into equal parts. You're going to divide the circle into fourths and the rectangle into fourths. Go ahead and do that now. Remember, if you need more time, please pause the video. We're going to go down to number 3. Number 3 says partition each shape into thirds. So you're going to draw some lines to divide this circle and this rectangle into thirds. Now for number 4, it says, what is another name we use for shapes divided into fourths? There's a name that we use instead of fourths sometimes that means fourths. What is that word that we use sometimes? Remember, we are not looking for correct spelling. I need to see what you can hear in the word. Write down the sounds you hear for your word. It does not count for spelling, so just try the best that you can. Another name for fourths on this line. If you need more time to write, please pause. Okay, down to number 5. What are these shapes divided into? So you have a circle, a rectangle, and another circle. Let's look at this first circle. This circle is divided into what? Halves, thirds, or fourths. Let's look at those words again. Look at this shape, and you're telling me what is it divided into? Halves, thirds, fourths. Make sure you're circling the right one. Look at that beginning sound and look at the whole word to see that that's the one that you want. Then let's look over here on the rectangle. Is that rectangle divided into halves, thirds, or fourths? Again, let's look at those words. Make sure you're circling the right one. Halves, thirds, fourths. And then the same thing for this last circle over here. Is that divided into halves, thirds, or fourths? Make sure you're getting the right one that you want. Halves, thirds, fourths. Circle which one you think that's partitioned into or divided into. All right, moving on to number 6. Remember, if you need more time, please pause and you can rewatch if you want to. Number 6, are these shapes divided equally? Write yes or no. So each shape has a line underneath. You're going to write if it's divided equally, yes, or if it's not divided equally or unequally, you're going to write no. And again, those words are right here. Y-E-S is how you spell yes. N-O is how you spell no. So I'm looking at this first circle here. I'm looking at the line and I'm thinking to myself, is that divided equally or unequally? If it's divided equally, I'm going to write yes on the line. If it's not divided equally, I'm going to write no on the line. Then I'm going to move to the rectangle. Is that divided equally? Yes or no? Write yes or no on the line. Then I'm going to move to the circle. Is that divided equally? Yes or no? And then finally my rectangle over here. Is that divided equally? Yes or no? Now this last section, number 7, you're going to have to go to your teacher and name these shapes for her. It says name these shapes for your teacher. Your teacher is going to point to each of these shapes and you're going to tell her what the name of that shape is. So make sure you see your teacher before you turn it in. That's it.